What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Tyson Fury blasts anyone that blames him, and this is what he says: "Don't blame me." Frustrated, Tyson Fury insisted he was not at fault for the COVID delay to his Deontay Wilder trilogy fight, as the Gypsy King admits he's disappointed by lack of recognition in the UK, where he pays taxes unlike Lewis Hamilton. Wow. Tyson Fury believes that he will demolish Deontay Wilder in their third fight. He spoke about postponement having been forced to delay due to coronavirus. Fury suspects he had caught COVID from one of his sparring partners that he brought in, and he will slim down the team again for the training camp ahead of October 9th. Tyson Fury's index finger traced the condensation running down a can of Heineken in the 110-degree heat here. Then he took a long swig to fortify himself, for seeing off critics and conspiracy theorists following the bout of COVID, which forced the postponement of his world heavyweight trilogy fight with Deontay Wilder. He says, "My first alcoholic beverage since Christmas Day," he announced as he slammed the 10 on the table. "I've been pretty much nothing except training my butt off since I smashed Deontay Wilder." That was 17 months ago in their first rematch, and it will be 11 more weeks out of the ring by the time the Gypsy King and the Bronze Bomber meet on October 9th. That was also a rebuttal of cynical accusations that he welcomed yet another delay after already diversions via contract litigations and coronavirus isolation. He stated, "I couldn't have been more ready for the next Saturday," said Fury. "After that, I have been just as ready to knock out Anthony Joshua in December. The Battle of Britain for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship feels as if it in the win since the retirement of Lennox Lewis. The last of all the available belts. Here and now, it seems like a mirage evaporating into the Nevada desert." Okay. Let me see here.
Hi, this is Tyson Fury, aka the Gypsy King. I'm very excited to announce that the Tyson Fury plan is live right now. So that's the tysonfuryplan.com. Nutritional program that will help you shed that weight very quick. I went from 400.
Okay, that's him promoting his diet plan, which is great. But this is not what we're talking about. Now, something I want to counterpunch, and I read something that just wouldn't right with me. He said, "My first alcoholic beverage since Christmas Day." He announced that he slammed the 10 on the table. "I've done pretty much nothing except train my butt off since I smashed Deontay Wilder." Let me counterpunch. First of all, wasn't it Tyson Fury that said he was drinking 10 pints a day? Matter of fact, he was in an interview and he was drinking. I don't know how much he was drinking, but he was drinking. Okay, unless it was some root beer or some shit in it. But that's what he was. That's what he said he was drinking, a beer. And he said he'd been drinking 10 pints. In fact, he said, "I can drink 10 pints of beer and still beat Anthony Joshua." You know, so I thought that was weird. He said, "Oh, this is my first alcoholic beverage since Christmas Day," because it's been a long time since Christmas Day, people. So I don't buy that, you know, or unless he was just bullshitting people like Tyson Fury knows how to do. But he was drinking something, and it didn't look like water. I don't know what it was, because he could have, again, he could be pulling the wool over our eyes like he's good at doing. But that is very disappointing. So he says, "Don't blame me." Tyson Fury insisted he was not at fault for the COVID delay to his Deontay Wilder trilogy fight, as the Gypsy King admits he's disappointed by lack of recognition in the UK. Okay. Let me counterpunch. First off, it is his fault. If he was ready to fight, if he was ready to smash Deontay Wilder, he tested negative after, like last week. What was it? What's today? Today's the 22nd. He tested negative the 15th or the 16th. I think it was the 16th. No, it was the 15th. So he tested negative on the 15th. So why, if he wanted it that bad, why didn't he just go ahead and fight that fight? I'm pretty sure Team Wilder would have okayed it because they wanted to fight, and I think they want to fight more than Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury plays with the possibility of fighting that fight, and I think, and there's no other reason now that why they would postpone it, and there's no other excuse or explanation on why he was running around. If he thought that he had COVID, why was he going around shaking people's hands and hugging on people, getting close contact with people? Why would you do that? First of all, that's dumb. Second of all, that's inconsiderate, because if you have that, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know if they have pre-existing conditions. You don't know anything about those people. They could have a heart condition. They could have asthma. They could have bronchitis. They could have acute asthma. They could have COPD. They could have something wrong with their lungs, and you testing positive can expose yourself or your germs or that COVID from what you tested onto them and kill them. He ain't thought of none of that shit. He's talking about fucking taxes in the UK. What does that got to do with people spending their hard-earned money and spending and can't get their money back from plane tickets because they've either got them and didn't get the insurance on them or whatever? How about that? That's the problem I have with the Gypsy King, because, hey, you're supposed to be apologizing to the fans. Okay? And you're saying, oh, well, where he pays taxes. Okay, well, that's the problem. Now you see the motive. Now you see where all the animosity is coming from, because people don't have that to say about Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury is more like Lennox Lewis than I thought. Tyson Fury wants to be respected, and he's not getting respected, just like Lennox Lewis really fully didn't get respected in the UK. Especially not like Anthony Joshua has. Anthony Joshua is that guy that has definitely been adored and admired and respected in the UK. This is coming from left field. Think about it, where he pays tax unlike Lewis Hamilton. That's weird. I don't know who Lewis Hamilton is, but obviously he's somebody that doesn't pay his taxes, right? So he's talking about where he doesn't get recognition. But damn, you're so hard up to take your ass back to the UK now, aren't you? When you just bought a house in Las Vegas. You bought a house in Las Vegas. You tested positive for coronavirus. A week, like 10 days later, you tested negative, which didn't make sense, because why would they be testing you when you haven't even quarantined in 10 days? That didn't make sense. Now you're trying to come to everyone and say, hey, don't blame me. It ain't my fault. But then it is your fault. Because the moment Tyson Fury people tested negative, he could have said, you know what? I'm negative. Let's get this fight on. And then the question you ask yourself, why were they so quick to postpone that fight like that? You see what I mean? And then why were they even testing Tyson Fury when it hasn't been 10 days? That made no sense. Only to cover up the fact that he's out running around, hugging and shaking people's hands and shit. That was dumb. None of this makes sense. So you have it, now you didn't have it, but you had it before, but you tested before you're supposed to have been tested, but why? None of that makes sense. None of that made sense at all to me. Now he's saying, hey, don't get pissed off at me. I'm very disappointed and I'm not recognized in the UK like I feel I should be, where I pay taxes. Okay, stay in your fucking home in Vegas then. You should have fought on the 24th. That should have been in 2 days. That's what should have happened. And you're talking about the UK and them not respecting you. That had nothing to do with the fight with Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Tyson Fury saying that he is very frustrated because the fight didn't happen. And on top of that, let me add this to it. You didn't seem that frustrated when you were out fucking buying cars and luxury vehicles and shit like that. He seemed like he was pretty much celebrating because the shit didn't happen. Honestly, look at how he was acting. He was, hey, how you doing? I'm buying a car and all this shit. Who does that after you just got tested positive for an illness? Who does that? That's what I wanted to leave you guys with. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.